The EverKade has a brand new cartridge announcement that has me, well, pretty excited. The PS5 price point might have been revealed and it's being impacted by some things going on within the market, and huge Nintendo Switch sales continue with both hardware sales for January and some new Nintendo Switch eShop deals as well. What's going on, guys? I'm RGT85. While you're out there spending Valentine's Day with your friends and loved ones, I'm at home talking about video games and playing games because that's what I do. So if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games. So first off, let's talk about the EverKade, because honestly, I really like the EverKade. The EverKade is of course a new retro handheld system that has its own cartridge library that will be releasing worldwide on April 6th. Well, EverKade of course sent over an early review copy of the system for me to check out along with all of the games, and I was really impressed with this system. Yes, I did have some nitpicks about it, but overall I felt like the positives definitely outweighed the negatives with this system. I really like the screen that the system uses, the build quality is very good, and most importantly, the games are very interesting, featuring a library of games from companies like Namco and Interplay and Technos, and there's even new retro style games from companies like Mega Cat Studios and of course Pico Interactive. So overall, I thought the system was really cool. Well, EverKade has been teasing an announcement of a new cartridge that will be releasing in Q3 of 2020, and today they revealed what that cartridge was going to be, and honestly, I'm pretty impressed with it because it is the Atari Lynx collection. You will be getting 17 Atari Lynx games on the EverKade system coming in Q3 of 2020. Now, the Atari Lynx to me is a very interesting system because I really know nothing about it. I never had an Atari Lynx growing up. I don't think a lot of kids had an Atari Lynx growing up. They either had a Game Boy or a Game Gear because Nintendo and Sega were the big names at that time. Atari was sort of on its way out. So the Atari Lynx is sort of an enigma to me. I've never owned an Atari Lynx. There are of course two different versions of the system released, but this is a great way to play some of the Atari Lynx games that were available on the system. We can see the full list of games here. We have Awesome Golf, we have Basket Brawl, Crystal Mines 2 Buried Treasure, Cyber Virus, which is a cool sort of first-person perspective game. I remember seeing some videos about it. Dracula Undead, Gordo 106, I'm not gonna say Shooty, The Way of the Stones, Jimmy Connors Tennis. Now, to be fair, Jimmy Connors Tennis, it's no Pete Sampras tennis. Joe, tell him about Pete Sampras Tennis.
You need to play Pete Sampras Tennis instead. Our Lord and Savior Pete Sampras has blessed you with a tennis game.
But I'm sure it's still a fun game. We have Loops, Malibu Bikini Volleyball, you know, get some ladies in some bikinis there, Mega Pack, which I guess is a compilation of some different games, Missile Command, Power Factor, Remnant, Scrapyard Dog, Super Asteroids, Super Squeak, and Zump. So you're getting 17 games on this compilation, and like I said, I'm not really familiar with any of these games. I've never really played Atari Lynx stuff before, so I'm definitely very curious to see how these games play in 2020. I think there's some cool looking games based on the screenshots here. I know some people are a bit upset that California Games is not on here, as that is pretty much known as the best Atari Lynx game, but this is a volume or collection 1 of the compilation, so there may be a collection 2. I just really like what EverKade is doing with this. You gotta be real here. This is a more appealing system than the Atari VCS. It has more Atari games with these different Atari compilations than the VCS does. I want to see if they're able to do some Jaguar stuff. Now, yes, technically the Jaguar was a 64-bit system, do the math, but realistically it was a 16-bit system at best. So I would love to see an Atari Jaguar compilation. There are some cool games on there, such as Iron Soldier, and of course Raiden was a really good port on there as well, but definitely the future looks very interesting for the EverKade system. I'm definitely going to pick this up. Of course, all the cartridges are just 20 bucks, so really impressed with this. Let me know in the comments section down below if you have any fond memories of the Atari Lynx, or if this will be your first time checking it out if you decide to pick up this compilation, because I know I will be. Next up, let's talk about the PlayStation 5. Now, I will be real with you guys, I definitely expected a Sony event during the month of February to talk about the PlayStation 5, but we are about halfway through the month, and it definitely seems like Sony won't be doing any sort of presentation for the PlayStation 5, which is kind of weird to me. We've seen what the Xbox Series X is going to bring to the table. We, of course, saw a video about it during the Video Game Awards 2019. We saw Hellblade potentially running on the system as well, so it's kind of weird that Sony has been been so quiet about the PlayStation 5 thus far. Now, one of the big points about the PlayStation 5 is of course going to be the price point, and that definitely blends into the Xbox Series X as well. The basic state of mind was that the Series X was probably going to be about $500, while the PlayStation 5 was going to be about $400. Now, aside from the PlayStation 3, which of course released at way too high of a price of $600, Sony has always tried to undercut the competition with all of their systems. So it made sense for the PlayStation 5 to probably be about $100 or so cheaper than the Xbox Series X, but it looks like that might not be the case according to a new report from Bloomberg.com, which of course is a financial website. They're basically saying that scarce components have pushed the manufacturing cost for the PlayStation 5 to about $450 per unit just to manufacture it. Now, in comparison, the PlayStation 4 released back in 2013 at $400, and it was about $381 to manufacture that system. So if this system is going to be $450, now it looks like the PlayStation 5 price point might end up being that $500 price point, which could put it on par with the Xbox Series X. Now, of course, we don't know what the Xbox Series X is going to officially be in terms of price point. Just basing it on the technology that's being used, a lot of people are feeling that it's going to be $500. The reason why the system is going to cost about $450 to manufacture is because of some supply issues with flash memory that's basically being used by smartphone manufacturers. So there's not enough flash memory out there right now that companies are providing that is going to be used in the PlayStation 5. So the prices of this are up. Obviously, this is a supply and demand sort of thing. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see what ends up happening if the PlayStation 5 is a $500 system and the Xbox Series X is a $500 system. Now, obviously, I will be picking up both a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox Series X on day one because I review games on this channel and I talk about video games. But for the average consumer, I am not quite sure which system they're going to go towards. I think it really just is going to come down to what games are available on the system. Hopefully, there are some big PlayStation 5 exclusives available at launch, because obviously the Series X is sort of going to be using games that will also be compatible with the Xbox One, as reported by Microsoft themselves, at least for the first year or two of the system. But yeah, if both of these systems launch at $500, it's definitely going to be a pretty interesting battle in the video game marketplace. So let me know in the comments section down below, are you a team PlayStation fan or are you a team Xbox fan? Which system will you be picking up if they both come out at $500? And finally, it's time to talk about some Nintendo stuff, because, well, you guys like it when I talk about Nintendo stuff. Now, to clarify something, a couple days ago on the channel, we of course made a video talking about the Nintendo Switch in 2020, how things were very quiet, and how honestly I did not really like that. I do want to clarify one thing from that video though. One of the rumors circulating was that Nintendo was potentially not going to be at E3 2020. I said that was based on an early show floor exhibitor list, and some people were a bit concerned by it. I did say to take that with a grain of salt though, because the official list would be releasing on the next day, and Nintendo will indeed be at E3 2020. So I think that's a good thing, honestly. I don't like companies skipping out on E3. Obviously, the flow of information is definitely changed from when E3 was at its prominence, but of course, I do like things like the Treehouse event that sort of showcase these games, and obviously we're gonna have to learn something about these games, and we're gonna learn about new games at E3, because we are now nearly 6 months since a Nintendo Direct. And another thing I want to clarify in that video is, I don't care when we get a Nintendo Direct. It's not really the Nintendo Direct that I'm concerned about, it's more about the game announcements that I'm concerned about, because that is just sort of the vessel. The Nintendo Direct is the vessel to get the games out there for people. If Nintendo just wants to announce it in a press release or on their website or via Twitter about a new game coming out, I'm fine with that. I just want to know about new games. So just a quick couple clarifications on that video. But obviously, Nintendo Switch is the dominant system in the marketplace right now, and there are two things to talk about going on with this. Like I said, there are some good eShop sales going on, and then we have some NPD numbers, which of course tracks hardware sales and software sales in the US, and the Nintendo Switch is on top again. Now, to talk about these eShop sales going on, two more games, well, technically 3 games, have been added to the Nintendo Switch eShop sale that is currently going on. We've actually made 2 videos about this because most of these deals are good until the 17th. Today is just the 14th, so make sure you guys go check out those 2 videos. But now we have some more games to talk about. Outlast and Outlast 2 are currently on sale on the Nintendo Switch eShop. You can get Outlast for $6.24 and Outlast 2 for $7.49. I definitely recommend both of these games. They are fantastic horror games. I used to not be a fan of this style of horror game, the more sort of just, you know, survival horror where you don't have any weapons or anything like that. I like to have guns and stuff like that. But Outlast and Outlast 2 really tell great stories, and that's what really makes these games very interesting to me. I own both of them on the Nintendo Switch. They're fantastic ports, and you can pick up both Outlast and Outlast 2 for about $15 combined. Definitely worth checking out if you haven't checked out these games before. Very solid ports of the games and very creepy games with excellent stories. But the game you gotta pick up is Ghostbusters, the video game remastered, available for just $18 right now on the Nintendo Switch eShop. Ghostbusters Remastered honestly was one of my favorite games of 2019, even though I played it way back in the day on the Wii and the Xbox 360. It's just such a fantastic game. Everybody loves Ghostbusters, especially 80s and 90s kids, and this is just such a fantastic game that has all the characters reprising their roles. We of course did a full review of this game, so make sure you guys check that out if you want the nitty gritty, but at $18 you guys really should check out this game because it's absolutely fantastic. Now let's talk about some NPD stuff, because once again in the month of January the Nintendo Switch was the #1 selling system in the United States of America, which should come as no surprise to you guys. The Nintendo Switch has been dominating the NPDs for as long as I can remember now. It's just been absolutely crazy how well this system is selling. Now, Matt Piscatella of the NPD group actually talked about the best-selling Nintendo Switch games for the month of January 2020 in the United States. These are just physical sales of games, and there's some really interesting stuff on here. Like, I just don't get it. So looking over the list very quickly, we have Smash Bros. Ultimate at the #1 spot, Mario Kart 8 at the #2 spot. Like, why is this game still selling so well? Over 25 million copies sold. Ring Fit Adventure, Pokemon Sword, Luigi's Mansion 3, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Pokemon Shield, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Super Mario Party, which, I mean, it's just not a great game. And the 10th game is Just Dance 2020. Why is Just Dance 2020 selling well? Like, I would love to see more third-party games on this list. I would love to see some more proper third-party games on this list. It is kind of a shame that the #1 selling third-party game for the month of January 2020 for the Nintendo Switch, at least in terms of physical sales, was Just Dance 2020. People, there's so many better games on the Switch than Just Dance 2020. Let's look at other games to check out, but really, it's just crazy to see how strong the Nintendo Switch has been. Now overall, the market though, the video game market actually saw a 35% decline over 2019 in comparison to January of 2019 to January of 2020. Now, obviously, that is going to do with things like the PS4 and the Xbox One both sort of being phased out, but it's kind of interesting, definitely something to keep an eye on. But overall, it's definitely crazy to see Nintendo just barreling through every NPD, and now these Switch sales are just getting so crazy, it's just like, Jesus Lord, like, will this system ever slow down? Is it going to hit 100 million? I used to have my doubts about that, but I definitely think it will at the end of the day. Right, so that is what is going on in the world of video games that I felt like talking about. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to give me some feedback in the comment section down below. What do you think about the new EverKade cartridge? What do you think about the price point of the PlayStation 5? And what do you think about all this Nintendo Switch stuff? And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. For the rest of the day, I'll be playing Darksiders Genesis. I just got a review copy of that game, so hopefully I'll have a video up within the next day or two on that. Really looking forward to that game. I think it looks really fun. It was one of the games I was anticipating for the month of February for the Switch, so be on the lookout for that, and as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.